여러분 안녕하세요. 민주중앙일보 최인성입니다. 룩킹포맘 투게더를 시작합니다. 룩킹포맘 투게더는 70년대 그리고 80년, 90년대에 한국에서 해외로 입양을 가야 했던 우리 한인 입양인들이 한국 내 가족을 다시 찾을 수 있도록 돕는 그런 프로젝트입니다. 룩킹포맘 투게더는 한국보건복지부사나 아동권리보장원이 후원하고 있습니다. 보장원과 미주중앙일보는 한인 입양인들의 인터뷰 이외에도 다양한 소식을 여러분들에게 알리고요. 사람과 사람을 연결하는 많은 활동을 함께 해나갈 계획입니다. 여러분도 함께 해주시고 또 지켜봐 주십시오. 영상을 끝까지 시청해 주시고 주변 분들이 많이 이 영상을 볼 수 있도록 전달해 주시면 좋겠습니다. 오늘은 76년 덴마크 코펜하겐으로 입양된 수즌 샌드버그, 임지윤 씨와 만납니다. 줌으로 초대했는데요. 안녕하세요, 임지윤 씨.
Hi.
반갑습니다. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
So, what's the weather like in Copenhagen now?
It's very cold.
It is.
It's -degrees, and so last week we had a snowstorm. And
Okay.
people were snowed in IKEA. They couldn't get out, so they had to spend the night there.
Oh, okay. We should have sent you a long sleeve instead of a short one. I'm sorry.
Yes, that's what I thought.
Okay, I know who you are. I read the stories and paperwork right in front of you, but in your words, tell our viewers who you are, please.
Well, so my name is Suzanne, and my Korean name is Lim Yi-jung. I think you pronounce it that way, Lim Ji-jung. And I'm 46 years old, and I was found in Bupyeong, in close to Seoul, in April 1975. And then I was handed over to Korean Social Services 10 days after. And I was with them for a few months, and then I was adopted to Denmark.
And also, I have a paper right in front of me. It says 입양 아동 조서. It has all the information about you when you were found, and it says you were found in a Bupyeong, Incheon, and the lady named Kim-Bong-suk took the liberty of taking care of you and brought you to Korean Social Service, which is KSS. Do you know anything happened before you were brought to Kim-Bong-suk or brought to KSS?
No, I know nothing. I would love to know something. And so within the recent years, I've been looking for Miss Kim Bong-suk because I'm thinking that she must know something. At least she could tell me exactly where I was found, or maybe she's even a relative of my parents, or a friend, a neighbor. So she's my closest point of contact if I could find her.
I know you went back to Korea and started a journey in search of your birth parents and families. Were you able to contact KSS or even ncrc to find Miss Kim Bong-suk?
Well, I went back in '93 on a group tour, and I had a visit with KSS, and I talked to a counselor or whatever she was, and she never mentioned Kim Bong-suk. Because the thing is, Kim Bong-suk, the name is only in my Korean file, and it's not in the English translation. So I didn't know till 2-3 years ago about her. When I had the file translated, that's when I found out that there's a name of a woman who apparently found me.
I see. Some of the information might not be correct and also deleted or omitted. Some Korean adoptees are not really buying the fact or any description written on the paperwork. Do you kind of buy the fact that you were abandoned and you were found on the street?
Well, I have nothing else to base anything else on. So in that sense, I've always bought into the fact that I was probably an orphan or something like that. But just recently, more and more people are researching into the lies that were told or the covering facts. And so in that sense, I'm starting now to be more curious, but I'm not being too hopeful in finding out anything. But I am planning on going back to Seoul and visiting KSS and insisting on seeing my actual file.
I see. 76년도에 코펜하겐으로 입양된 임지연 씨와 이야기 나누고 있습니다. So, after you decided to be adopted overseas, you came to Denmark. And tell us about your adopted family. And I know, I was told that your sister was also adopted from Korea. Tell us.
Yes. So before my parents had me, they adopted another girl from Korea. So I have an adopted sister who's 2 years older than me and who's also from Korea. She's never had an interest in looking into her background. So I actually don't really know what her past is, but she was only 4 months when she came to Denmark.
I have some of the pictures that you sent me. This is a beautiful picture with your adopted mom and your sister.
Yeah.
And it looks like this is you and this is your sister.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
she's like 2 years older than you?
She's 2 years older, yes.
I see. And then you grew up a little and having a wonderful feast. Your mom.
Yeah, that's a real 70s picture, I guess. Yeah.
I love it. And obviously this looks like when you arrived at the airport, something?
No, that's actually, in Denmark, when it's Christmas Eve, we dance around the Christmas tree. And this is a picture taken from us dancing around the Christmas tree. It's not really dancing, you hold hands and then you walk around it while you sing carols.
I see.
And so that's from my first Christmas Eve.
Interesting. So you went to school. Obviously you kind of stand out.
Yeah. That's my life in a nutshell, surrounded by blonde people, blonde, tall people.
I see.
I think that would have been actually my first grade.
I see. And then you grow up. You
And I grew up.
14 or 15, right?
Yeah.
And then married with these beautiful children.
Yes.
Okay.
They're older now, but I think at that point they were like 2 and 4.
I love these pictures. I love.
Yeah, they're
these
very
pictures.
cute. They were.
Look at these guys, right?
Yeah, they're big.
Mom and son moment, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, we're all very close.
Now you briefly mentioned the society there, homogeneous, and what was it like growing up there? We had a couple of interviews with the Korean adoptees from Copenhagen and Scandinavian Peninsula. What was it like? Was it tough? Did it help you kind of shape yourself? How did it go?
Well, I think, as an adopted, I think I adopted the skill of being very adaptable. So I've always been good at fitting in to any situation I'm put in. And but I think what they also must have told is it's different growing up in a society that's so homogenous as Denmark is. Everyone is pretty much white and blonde and tall, and especially where I'm from, because it's kind of in the countryside, there really were only my sister and I who stood out and were different. So I think I always missed having some physical role model, someone that I could, relate to as a girl, as a teenager growing up. You want to look like everyone else, or at least you want to have like an idol you want to look like. And I didn't really have that. I think that's very common for most of us adoptees, international adoption, that you may feel like the country you are adopted to, but you will never look like it. So you're always reminded that you're not from here and you're not like everyone else. And I think that really does have a big impact on who you become, both in good ways and in bad ways, definitely. So when I was in my early 20s, I moved to America, actually, and I lived in LA, just like you, for a while. And I just loved the multicultural atmosphere you have there, and I definitely still miss that. Just walking down the street and you'll see all kinds of nationalities. that's very special. We don't have that here.
I see. Were you able to join any like a Korean adoptees group after college when you become a grown up there? Did it really help?
Well, when I became a grown up, I moved to America. So I didn't really, I didn't look into that till much later. And then later on, when I moved back to Denmark and back to Copenhagen, I did kind of touch base a little bit with the Korean club. But I think I didn't really feel connected, which is weird because we shared a lot of the same feelings. But I think it's also, and I think a lot of adoptees from other countries will relate to that you have this kind of, oftentimes you try to distance yourself from the people who stand out, kind of thinking, okay, I'm not like them. I'm like the rest of you. I'm like a Danish person. So if we're in a group, then we'll stand out even more. I think I'm over that now that I'm matured and older, but I think in my early years, that's definitely a thing that I kind of tried to avoid. Even with my sister, I remember I was very self-aware when we would walk down the street because I thought, we're standing out even more. People are going to think we're tourists or we don't belong here more than I even already felt. So, and again, I think that's very common, but it's sad too, in that sense that instead of sharing all the things you have in common, you distance yourself from it. So I wish now, being older and being mature, I wish that I'd taken advantage of that more when I was younger.
I see. Well, I love that the fact that you staying here in the United States kind of helped you understand how things work. And I remember my son went back to Korea for travel. As soon as he landed in Incheon Airport, he called me and, hey, Dad, everybody looks like me.
I know. It's a pretty amazing feeling when you haven't tried that before.
Now, we are kind of putting a one stone on the step, looking for your mom, your family in Korea. Now, everything worked out, say, it's still hypothetical. Let's say you sit down with your mom for the very first time. For the very first time, you open up your mouth. What would you like to tell her?
Well, I would like her to know that I had a good life and I forgive her. I would like her to know that she should never feel ashamed of what she did, and that I made it, that I had a good life, and she has grandchildren today. And even though we don't know each other, I'm sure she gave me a lot just from being my mother. And also, I'd like her to know that the first year of my life, I don't know where I was. I assume I was with her. And I remember in the file, it actually says that I'm chubby for my age. So she must have treated me well, I assume. Yeah, so I think the most important thing for me would be for her to know that I had a good life.
Well, at the risk of sounding kind of cliche, but now you experience everything. You know what it's like to be adopted. Now, should we still have international adoption? Should we still allow people adopt each other?
It's an interesting question, and I'm always a little torn in what to say, because in a lot of ways, I don't think we should. I think if it's because we want to help, I think we should help in the country where the children are. I think we should try to foster some kind of help out there. I think now, having met a lot of adoptees from Korea and other countries, some of the damage that is done to a child by pulling out its culture and plumping them in a different culture, I'm not sure it's always the best thing to do. I think my biggest issue is always hearing growing up that, aren't you grateful? And that's kind of, I don't want anyone to grow up having to feel that they need to be grateful all the time to society. And so I don't know, because in another sense, it's also, you know, if you have children who are orphans and you have people who would like a child, why not match them up? So I'm torn on the question.
I see.
But at least nowadays, I think there's more preparation done than back in the 70s. My parents knew nothing about Korea.
Oh,
Or
okay.
they kept saying to their friends that, oh, Suzanne loves spring rolls
Mm.
because she's from Korea. Today I'm like, spring rolls? That's not particularly Korean. That's just because I like spring rolls.
I see. Now
Yeah.
I understand you're in the middle of 40. You said you have a plan to go back to Korea and start the journey again.
Yeah.
Tell us your plan. Are you bringing your children too? What's going to happen?
My best friend is also from Korea, and she already found her roots.
Oh, great, great.
Yeah, and she wants to go with me. So, and I'm thinking now that I know what area I was found in, I'm kind of fantasizing about going back there and handing out flyers with her name, because my problem is I don't speak Korean, so I can't really communicate. And I think I need to hit, you know, an older segment who probably don't speak English. So if I had flyers that kind of explain that I'm looking for Kim Bong-suk, anywhere between in her 60s and then up. So I think that's kind of like Lemmy said, you know, time is working against us.
Before it's too late.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that's all I have, Susan. Do you have anything else to add or anything you want to say to our viewers?
No, I think this project is great, and I am grateful that you're doing it. I think it's really, I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for your time, Susan. So we'll keep in
Thank you.
touch, and we'll do whatever we can do to help your journey, all right?
Sure. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. 인천 부평구입니다. 여러분들 혹시 그 인근에 사시거나 그쪽을 잘 아시거나 그쪽에 연고가 있으셔서 잘 아시는 분들은 저희 임지연 씨를 좀 도와주시기 바랍니다. 스칸디나비안 코펜하겐에 있는 임지연 씨와 수잔 샌버그 임지연 씨와 이야기 나눠봤습니다. 여러분들 아시다시피 이 덴마크를 포함해서 스칸디나비안 반도에 보내진 한국 입양아들, 한인 입양인들의 숫자가 무려 4만 5천여 명에 달한다고 합니다. 적지 않은 숫자인데요. 유럽인들은 당시 아이가 필요하기도 했고요. 또 인도적인 생각과 그를 실천하면서 우리 한국의 입양인들, 한국의 아이들을 맞이했는데요. 이런 모습이 30년 지속되다 보니까 4만 명을 넘어선 것으로 보입니다. 많아진 숫자만큼이나 입양인들의 활동은 또 두각을 나타내서요. 일부 국가에서는 고위직 공무원이 되기도 하고 또 탁월한 능력으로 주목을 받기도 했습니다. 이들이 다시 조국을 따뜻한 마음으로 돌아볼 수 있었으면 좋겠습니다. 이들이 다시 부모와 가족의 손을 잡게 되면 더할 나위 없이 좋겠습니다. 여러분도 같은 생각이시죠? 자, 룩킹포맘 투게더 오늘은 덴마크 코펜하겐에 있는 임지연 씨와 이야기 나눴습니다. 한국의 아동권리보장원이 영상 제작에 도움을 주셨습니다. 저는 미중앙일보 최인성이었고요. 저희는 다음 영상에서 여러분들 다시 만나 뵙겠습니다. 여러분 감사합니다.
Hello everyone, it's a pleasure to meet you. My name is Yoon Hee-mi and I am the president of National Center for the Rights of the Child, also known as the ncrc. The ncrc is the one and only government institute in Korea responsible for developing and implementing child policies and child welfare related projects. Well, every year we handle about 2,000 requests from adoptees to find their birth families and support them with our post-adoption services. Well, we are working diligently and we are here to listen to you and to help you navigate the search process in any way we can. We are working to enhance the adoption information disclosure system as well as the laws and system in Korea so that adoptees wishing to reunite with their birth families can access necessary information with ease. We will also expand the DNA test program to help more adoptees with little records about their birth parents successfully reconnect with their birth families. We are always here to help you find your family. We want your search to be successful. We are working closely with the government and the other agencies and are supporting network building for the adoptee communities. The ncrc and Korean government will continue to listen to you and aid your journey to reconnect with your birth family. Thank you. 감사합니다.